Welcome to Roland Academy's support tutorial video series. Setting up network connectivity for a Roland printer or printer cutter. Part 1. Verifying network settings on a PC. We'll begin by going to the Start menu, going into the All Programs folder, Accessories, and launch a utility called Command Prompt. There's also a faster way to open the Command Prompt window. That's by going to the Search window and typing in CMD, which immediately opens up the Command Prompt window. Now we're going to type in ipconfig, which is an application to display TCP/IP network settings. The information displayed by ipconfig includes the IP address of the computer, the subnet mask, and the default gateway that we'll need to know before we can set the values in the printer. We can view more detailed network settings by going into the Control Panel, clicking on the Network and Internet, then selecting View Network Status and Tasks. From there we can click on Local Area Connection, which gives us a pop-up window which displays local area connection status and details. In the Details window, we can see that the DHCP is enabled, which means an IP address is assigned automatically, and the information is the same as in the ipconfig network utility. Now, there's also a Properties button that we can click on, and this gives us all the different network protocols. We want to click on TCP/IP v4, and again, click on the Properties tab for TCP/IP v4 and see that it is set again for IP address configured automatically by DHCP. So we're not changing any settings. We're just going to close these windows, but this is another way of viewing the same data that we found by using the ipconfig system utility. So it's important to understand the settings and where to find them in Windows. Now, Windows also has a shortcut you can use to view those network settings. You can type in ncpa.cpl in the search window, press the Enter key, and then it'll take you directly to the local area connection icon. From there you can right-click on the icon, click on Status, and again it opens up that local area connection status window much faster. From there again, when we look at details, it's the same information we saw before in ipconfig. We can again double check the properties, make sure that when we look at the different protocols, we make sure we select TCP/IP v4, click on Properties, and again make sure that DHCP is enabled and the IP address is assigned automatically for the PC. So this is a much faster way without having to scroll through as many windows, and gives you the same information. Part 2. Changing the network settings on a Roland printer or printer cutter. Now that we've recorded the network settings, which include the IP address of the computer, the subnet mask, and default gateway, I can enter the networking information on the printer side. By pressing the menu button, I can scroll down to the System Info, press the right arrow button, and it will take me to the network settings. So I'm going to go System Info, Network, right arrow again to the IP address, press the right arrow one more time, and now I can actually change the IP address. The IP address right now is 0, but we're going to change that to a value that's going to be the right one to use with the network we have. So the first digit we're going to change is going to be set to 192 as part of the IP address, and the first 3 sets of digits have to match the computer's IP address. The second set of numbers is going to be changed to 168, and we can scroll up or down to get to that, whichever is easier. The third number is just going to be set to 1, and the last number can be any value ranging from 2 to 254 as long as it's different from my PC or any other PC on the network. When I'm finished, I can press the Enter button, and now that value is stored in the printer. I can step back and check the IP address again. If I click the left arrow one more time and down arrow, I can go to the subnet mask. So now we're going to change our subnet mask, and that we're going to leave at 255, 255, 255, and 0, which is the same as a PC subnet mask. Pressing the Enter key stores the value. Then I'm going to press the left arrow to go back one level and go from the subnet mask to the gateway address. Now in this case, when I press the right arrow, the gateway address is set to 0. I want to change that value to 192.168.1 and 1. After I've made those changes, the control panel says now processing, which means it's storing those values into the printer's firmware. And once that's done, I can go back and verify that my IP address is set correctly. It's different from the value for the computer. I can go back and check the subnet mask value as well as the gateway address. Pressing the left arrow button takes me out of the submenus. I can press the menu button, which takes me back out to the ready state for the printer, and I'm now ready to go into VersaWorks and print. Part 3, adding the network settings for a Roland printer or printer cutter in VersaWorks. Now that we've configured the network settings for our Roland printer cutter and connected the device with an Ethernet cable to our network, we're ready to launch the Roland VersaWorks RIP software. Now, when opening the Roland VersaWorks RIP software for the first time, a printer settings window is displayed that allows us to manually enter in the IP address of the printer we just configured for our network. We're going to type in now the same IP address as entered on the front control panel. In this example, it's going to be 192.168.1 and 20 for the last digit. We then click on the Verify button to confirm that Roland VersaWorks connects properly to the IP address entered. You'll see the model name, serial number, and status. And again, the IP address is the same as we entered in the printer control panel. Click OK, and we'll skip installing the printer driver at this point. Now we can see that the printer status is displayed as ready to print. We can go back to the printer settings at any time, and we can see that we can add, by clicking on the Add Printer icon, up to 4 devices in total by entering additional IP addresses. The printer status window also displays the IP address of the printer as well as the serial number, printer status, and ink levels for convenience. Now, once the printer's been added to the list of connected devices in VersaWorks, we're all set to add jobs into the RIP queue and print. This concludes our support tutorial video. For additional tutorial and workshops, please visit rolanddga.com/training/workshops.